got everything you need to ready, set, go back to school.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Sam Crow Radio. I almost said Sin's Chat Corner. Forgive me. Thanks so much for all of you tuning in this evening, and I'm so excited because this is one of the very first evening shows that we've been doing, so hopefully we're going to get more of a crowd. Before I begin with everybody, I just wanted to make note so that everybody knows this, anyone who's listening in. This is going to be unlike the normal interview, which means since we are on air, the minute that I start talking to Lonny, we'll kind of go back and forth between question and answer, meaning I'll do the questions, and then at some point when I see someone calling in, you're more than welcome to interject, and we'll kind of go back and forth with the question and answer thing. So, since Lonny's been holding, let's get him on the line and get going with our interview. Hey, Lonny. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Cindy.
Hey, Lonny, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing fine.
Oh, I'm so glad we're finally together. Sorry about that
All
little
right.
technical issue that we have going on here. So I've got a couple different questions for you, and just to let you know, I told the listening audience as well, I'll start talking to you and we'll do some questions here, and hopefully as people call in, we'll just kind of go back and forth between myself and other people. So this way everybody gets a chance to talk to you.
Okay.
So I want to start out by saying that Lonny LaSand, to me, exemplifies hardcore, putting the fear of death in me sort of guy, and that's just my first impression by looking at you. So how refreshing was it to find out in talking to you that you personify just quite the opposite. You are charming and well-mannered and eloquent in your speech and just very good-humored. I think you're just lovely. So now having said that, I want to start our interview off by discussing Lonny the young man, meaning let's go back to your childhood. Let's kind of start out. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, what you enjoy doing, what was your childhood like, and how did it kind of formulate you to be the person you are now? Okay, folks, for some odd reason, that was frustrating. We had Lonny to start with. Let's hope that we get Lonny back here. Just to let everybody know, in the hiatus here, and I'm sure Lonny will be calling back in just a second, for those of you that are first tuning in or first time that you're listening in to Sam Crow Radio, obviously our mission and job here is to interview past and present members of the Sons of Anarchy television show. Lonny La Sand obviously is an individual who works very closely and is part of the Mayan group on the Sons of Anarchy show. He's, to me, impressive for many, many reasons, some of which I just mentioned, which is he's just so well-mannered and charming and just a delight to speak to. And he's just so very different from his persona, meaning the individual that you look at as compared to the person that I'm starting to get to know are very, very unique, very different individuals, which I think is a neat thing. I got a very small opportunity to speak with his better half, which would be his wife, Norma, who speaks very eloquently about him as well and has taught me a few things about who this man is. While we've got some free time here, I wanted to throw out to the crowd that just in case any of you have not had a chance yet, please go ahead and visit and like our Facebook page, which is Sam Crow Radio, and that's S-A-M, Crow spelled C-R-O, and radio. We also have a presence here on Blog Talk Radio with the same name, so you can go ahead and check that out and go back and listen to our previous episodes. In case you haven't seen, we've done Aldo Gonzalez, we've done Carl McDowell, we've done Ted Alva, the very infamous Dayton Cali, just to name a couple off the top of my head, definitely. So at any given point in time, all year round, you can go ahead and check those out. And our hope for the future is to be able to take all of our episodes and blast them out onto YouTube, in which case everybody can go ahead and check that out in more of a national form. So please take the time to do that. Additionally, also you can follow us on Twitter, which is at Sam Crow Radio as well. Want to send a special shout out to the Crow Eaters Club because obviously without their support, they kind of all help as one collective team along with the infamous Sam Crow to kind of make this entire show work, which I am, of course, undoubtedly grateful for. So thank you so much to everybody that continues to support us. And as I always like to tell everyone, I am certainly first and foremost the first one to be able to say, if you happen to have any kind of criticism as it relates to the show, the topics, the people that we have on, if you wish to make suggestions about the particular individuals that come onto the show, who you'd like to see on, who you liked in the past, who who you want to see on, any kind of suggestion as it relates to giveaways or just the content of the show or how we do things. I'm more than willing to listen and take suggestions and to alter things, as is Sam Crow, obviously. You can find us both on Facebook, my name obviously being Cindy, the last name is M-I-C-H, and I have a Twitter handle as well, which is at SANDB111. So you can go ahead and you can check that out. And certainly, obviously, as we get further along in the mix, our hope and expectation for both myself as well as for Sam Crow is to be able to get more interesting individuals to come on. Not that we haven't, mind you, but just individuals in different facets, maybe not necessarily Sam Crow cast members, but just individuals in the biker businesses, charities, people that produce music, things like that. Just kind of make it more of a well-rounded show for bikers as a whole. So I think that there's many things that we could do with this show over the course of time. I apologize here. We're still waiting on Lonny to get back on air, so hopefully that will happen soon. So we're trying to make the show different and more well-rounded. There's so much to know about Sam Crow Radio and so much to know about Sons of Anarchy, obviously, besides an outstanding of just the cast members and what goes on. So I'm the first one, like I said, to try to branch out and make this as successful as we can. There's also been discussion somewhere around September for us to be able to start producing various different products, in which case that we can have relative to Sam Crow Radio, which I think would be enjoyable for many, many people, whether it be a T-shirt, whether it be some form of something. And again, open to suggestion on that one, certainly, because at any given point in time, obviously the direction of the show that we take is all in part due to your suggestions and comments and what we think everyone will enjoy so very much. So with any luck at all, we'll end up having a successful product that everybody likes, that everybody's proud of, and that hopefully all of our cast members are satisfied with. Let's see if we can try to get Lonny back on air again. Lonny?
Hello?
Hello? Hey,
Yeah.
Lonny.
Hey, sorry about
I lost
that.
you there. What happened?
No, one of the drivers hit the cord and it popped out of the wall.
Oh, no, goodness gracious. I kind of figured that was the case, so I thought, all right, well, I'll just sit and talk to our listening audience. So thank God they just sat and
I
listened
locked
to
the
me.
door now. Door's locked.
Oh, thank goodness. Whew. Okay, so let's go back to where we started, which was talking about Lonny, your early start out as far as to tell us a little bit about your background, kind of who you are, where you're from, family a little bit, anything you want to share with us.
Okay, yeah, I grew up on the west side of L.A., up there in Culver City. Grew up in some housing projects, and I mean, it was kind of, it was a rough neighborhood back in the days, so you're talking about the 70s and 80s, so, it was a lot different than it is now. So,
sure,
but,
I imagine so.
But, a lot of us grew up trying to prove to each other, what we were about, and a lot of us made wrong choices.
Okay.
But it's not like any other neighborhood in LA. This is the way. Sometimes it depends on the part of LA where you grew up at. And you always feel like you got to prove yourself to people.
Sure.
But then after so many years, it gets old. And then we end up paying our dues for all the wrongdoings. So that's kind of like the way I grew up. It just I always wanted to. I had 3 sisters, and I felt like I had to be more than I was supposed to be. Take care of my sisters and try to prove to everybody what I'm about. And that's how I grew up, and a lot of us grew up over there.
Okay. So I imagine part of your lifestyle had been being exposed to or being surrounded by. Were you exposed to gang lifestyle, or had you ever been involved in something relative to that?
No, it was a gang thing back then.
Okay.
But then back in those days, it wasn't about guns. It was about throwing down from the shoulders. So it wasn't really about guns. It was just like who was the baddest, and from the neighborhood, and what neighborhoods were the baddest, and we would just end up throwing down, fighting with each other, and then after you fight with each other, you go to a dance or wedding or something, then you see the rival that you fought with, and you start, remember that right hook I gave you, remember that left, and and everything's cool till you get drunk and it starts up again.
Oh, I imagine. Sure, certainly. I bet.
But I'm not gonna lie. It was fun back in the days. It was fun.
And as we all know, Lonny is 30 years old now. So that wasn't that long ago for you, right?
29. Not 30
there
yet.
You go. Do you derive from a family of creative folks? Meaning, did any of them have the acting bug, or are they creative in any manner, shape, or form?
No, and acting, the only one really I know is like Danny Trejo. You know, I've known Danny since for years. You know, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and Emilio Rivera. You know, we're like family. You know, me and him. So.
Of course.
You know, I know a few other guys that came up. You know, and they're doing a little acting now. You know, and I hope their career ends up going sky high for them. You know, they're really into it. They're you know, and a lot of them really doesn't really have to act. All they got to do is just be themselves. You know, and just be themselves with a smile at times. You know, and
exactly.
Just enjoy it.
That's right. Exactly. Or do they all have to have that same badass persona? That's what I always say. I'm like, God, it's like in the casting of Sons, it's like you have to have that badass look to have that role. I think to myself, you do perfectly at what you do, because if you could scare the hell out of me or most people that look at you, it's like, I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. You're perfect for something like this. You are. So that's why I said I'm so surprised that the person that I'm actually talking to is so very different from the character actor that you see, which I think is really cool. Was acting an occupation that you felt drawn to maybe when you were younger, or is this something that just only happened because of the Sons of Anarchy stint?
No, it had went through my mind at times when I was growing up, you know, but you know, like I was explaining earlier, just that, you know, from where I grew up and the changes that I went through in life, just like to me, you know, and to a lot of us out there, you know, it's just like that's never gonna happen for me. It'll never happen for me.
Sure.
You know, they don't want me. They don't want a person like me to end up being in acting. What they want to do is they want to stay far away from us. You know, and that's the way, you know, I felt all my life. You know, acting really wasn't something I really wanted to do. I mean, but like all of us, we all have it in the back of our mind. You know, I mean, the thought does pop up. You know, and then you start wondering how you're gonna do. You know, if you get into it, if people are gonna like you, and you know, because a lot of us are always judged. You know, we're always judged. You know, just by our appearance.
Right.
You know, and so a lot of us, you know, back then, it just like, you know, we felt that we never had a chance. You know, and that we will never have a chance. You know, but then as you know, as life went on, and little by little, you start seeing people, you know, that's been there, done that, and they're acting now. You know, and they're somewhat acting the way they are. You know, that they really are. You know, so that kind of like, that right there kind of like opened my eyes a little bit. You know, I mean, me getting a part in this is just kind of like, I was lucky. Right time, right place, you know?
Sure.
So.
Now, I want to start off, before we get into Sons of Anarchy, kind of talking about you yourself as a person, because I know that one of the things that you have a passion for, of course, is riding your own bike. So I have a couple questions pertinent to that.
Sure.
Of all the bikes which you've been fortunate enough to either ride, and that means whether it's your own bike or, of course, something on Sons of Anarchy, can you describe the one for us that carries a special adoration in your heart, and for what reason?
Well, my bike. In that case, my bike.
Okay. Well, I didn't know how many you had. I mean, you might have 3, you might have 4, you might have ridden, you know, a conundrum of them. So that's why.
I only have one, but you know, it was built from the ground up. You know, started with a frame and 2 tires. So everything on that bike is my style. Everything I picked out. You know, so to me, you know, it means a lot because you know, I never owned my own bike. I always ended up used to borrowing other people's. You know, and I ended up just, you know, getting mine built little by little, and so, you know, I mean, that's like, that bike is like my first bike, so that's going to stay with me forever and a day.
Aw, I bet. Definitely. Now, on Sons of Anarchy, you know, because obviously we're not on the set, so we don't know how the actual rotation works as it relates to when we see the character actors, including yourself, on a bike, do they rotate various bikes, or do you just are allowed to bring your own, or how does that work?
No, they just, well, I bring my own at all times. You know, it's been established in the show for, you know, 4 or 5 years, about 5 years now. And so, you know, I bring my own. You know, as you've seen in the second, third, and fourth season, Emilio does ride mine for those 3 years, and then he gets his bike built, and he brings his, and he has me back down mine. But throughout the show, I was mostly riding his, you know, because he has a few bikes. So I ended up riding his, and he rode mine. Okay.
Got it. So, of course, I have to ask the inevitable question. Have you ever suffered any form of an injury at the hands of a bike? Meaning, not obviously, you know, you fall off once, that's fine, but anything significant?
Yeah. You know how the pipes are. To me, there's never, I mean, you know, I burned my leg. And I'm just
really?
I'm just joking. No.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
No, not really. I haven't. You know,
Really?
I've been lucky so far.
Okay.
You know, but I have seen people go down, and I know sometimes sooner or later it's going to happen. The more you ride, you're going to end up going down.
I got you.
You know?
Okay,
And then when I do, I just hope it's not that bad, so I can get back up and down it again.
Well, there you go, of course. Now, at what point in your lifestyle did you begin riding? I mean, when were you first incorporated into the lifestyle?
Oh, I started when we were younger, like in our teens, and we started riding dirt bikes. You know? And I just, you know, right away I fell in love with the power. You know, and dirt bikes were pretty easy to handle. You know, I mean, I don't know how many gears I grinded at the time because I didn't know how to ride, but you know, I learned, and ever since then, I would love riding, you know, bikes, but never really till I got older, a little older, then started riding Harleys. Big difference, and Harleys I like because all you do is just cruise and enjoy the ride. You know, it takes so much out of your mind. You know, you're like in a different world. You know, so I love going riding when, you know, there's issues on my mind, problems. You know, I like to just you know, get on my bike and just hit the wind.
And do you do this regularly? Does your schedule allow you to where you can ride on a regular basis?
No, my schedule doesn't really, just that, you know, since I've been somewhat established in the show, never knowing when I'm going back. You know, all I do is just sit here and wait. You know, but you know, I do have to be careful with the bike. I've just been in it for, you know, it's been in it for like 5 years now. You know? So, I mean, and that's the bike. You know, that's the bike that, you know, that's always in, and just like the, you know, all the other Mayans, I mean, they end up they bring their bikes and they call them, and it's, you know, and you know, shit, they like to be in the show, and you know, but now it's just like the bikes, two bikes that are really there is Emilio's and mine.
Okay. Got it. And this is a curiosity question just because I was at a bike show recently, so I want to get your take on this. And I'm assuming that you've had a chance to go to a bike show on occasion, and I got to look at the brand new 2013 Harleys. So I just wanted to get your feel for if you've seen the new bike or your impressions about the new bikes, because I just saw them recently, so I just wanted to see what you thought, or if you've seen them yet.
Yeah, I have seen them. Yeah, they're great looking bikes, you know.
You think?
But you know, everybody has their own style of what they want to buy. I mean, if you're going to buy a bike, you know, that's going to be your bike. So you're going to pick the bike out that you want. Then the new ones are not, more or less, I've been old school for years, and I'm still old school. I like the older bikes. Now, I'm not going to say they ride easier. They don't, and you know. They don't ride easier, but that's just me, you know. But I have been on a street glide, and I do, you know, I love the street glides. You know, so, I mean, I wouldn't mind having one, you know, that way I could just pull up my street glide and ride, you know, and who knows, I may just end up getting one, you know, but that's my next choice. My next choice is the street glide.
Gotcha.
They're nice riding bikes. You can ride forever, you know.
Yeah, and I looked at those new bikes recently. Like I said, I was in Chicago at the bike show when Theo Rossi happened to be there, and I'm kind of tooling around and looking at them, and maybe it's just me, but I saw Batman when I saw the look of it. I'm like, it just doesn't look like a Harley, you know what I mean? It just isn't the classic. I guess I'm just used to the old school stuff too, and I just like that better. So I'm like, yeah, I'll stick with an old bike any day.
Yeah, but if you have one, a new one like a classic, and then you have the old school one, you know, whatever way you feel that day you get up, you jump on it and you ride.
Yep.
You want to ride old school, jump on the old school one. You want to ride in style and smooth, you jump on the classic.
Of course. Gotcha. Okay. All right, I know that you have a secondary love, which is, of course, classic cars. So I have a couple questions to address that. Are you more inclined to create them or ride them?
But cars?
Classic cars, yeah, or like whatever, because I know that your wife had mentioned the old cars, so I wasn't sure what you were exactly into. So some guys are just more of the gearhead where they just want to be able to create it from the ground up, and some are just more content to, you know, just say, I want to ride in them, drive around in them, that kind of stuff. So I'm curious which way you lean.
Oh, I have my little classics. You know, I have a couple cars. You know, and you know, they are nice to ride. You know, classic cars are going to be in forever and a day. They're going to be there. You know, and they are fun to ride in. You know, and I mean, it just, you know, you just feel kind of like when you jump in them, you feel like you're riding back in the day. You know, old school cars. You know, I mean, and classics are like, I mean, you go to the shows, and all you do is see all these classics, and you see older guys, a lot of older guys that they still have the classic. You know, it's I think it's a man thing. Okay, that's got to be right there, the man thing. You know, but you know, I think everybody ends up owning one, old bombs or you know, Chevys, Dodge, whatever whatever it is. But just getting in an old car just feels good. You know, and it kind of sends you back in the day. Just sitting in it, you don't even have to start it up. Once you start it up, then you really know you're back in the days, and you start driving, you start riding, and it's just, you know, that's another way to get away. Get in your old car and just ride down the coast highway. You know.
Sure, of course, I understand. Now comes the point in our interview where I'm hoping to at least make you smile or at least make you blush, whichever have you. Because your lady love, your wife, she further proved my point today, and that the sign of a good man lies in the fact that an equally good woman stands beside him, which is ever so much the case in between you and your wife. So to quote her, I'm gonna tell the listening audience what your wife had to say about you, which I did not know. She said, Lonny is a great husband and a provider, is a very straightforward guy, and would give you the shirt off his back. A significant point which I wish to address, which she informed me, was your willingness to assist and enable your friends to cope with addiction issues. Apparently, she says that without your guidance and support, there are many out there that might have ended up either deceased or in prison, which I'm truly in awe and mesmerized by this fact. So maybe, could you explain to our listeners the predominant reason for you devoting yourself and your time towards fighting addiction and helping others to do so?
Well, you know, for a lot of years I did, we're on radio, and I have nothing to hide now. You know, those days are gone. You know, and so I ended up getting myself clean from doing drugs, and I had a heart for helping the addict, the dopey. I had a heart for that, because when I did get clean, people were there for me. And it made me feel good inside because I thought there wasn't anybody out there. You have to learn on your own, but there was. So I ended up being, a drug counselor for 6 years, certified. So I ended up working in a recovery home, the same recovery home that I went through as a drug counselor. And I had, quite a few guys on my caseload. Then I ended up, after 3 years, I ended up getting into a methadone clinic, and I ended up working there 3 years. And I've helped a few people, I couldn't help everybody, but a few people I helped, and, and they're doing good today, and so what I went through and what I have, in order for me to make sure, I'm good inside, I have to give it back to somebody else, and the pay wasn't all that good. I'm going to be honest with you. The pay wasn't all that good, but I was doing what my heart wanted to do. And I just loved helping dope fiends, addicts, because, we get, addicts and dope fiends, they get, what they do is they get pushed away, and people look at, there's no hope for them, because as I was growing up, a lot of people have said that, if there's no hope for you, you can never become nobody or nothing. And that right there kind of like, made me feel, really ugly inside. So I said, I'm not going to, I'm going to do this for myself, and then just by me doing it for myself, it's going to show everybody else that, hey, I thought he couldn't make it. Look at him now, and, so I wasn't trying to do it to score any points. It's just that I made my mind at what I wanted to do to help others. And, and that helping others is what made me feel good inside about myself. So every time I helped somebody, all my head did was just go up in the air one more time. And it felt good. And I still continue to do it at times. I still help people.
Really?
I don't know. I could fall one day. One day I could fall. But I don't think like that. I just go. My mind is thinking about going forward and not going back to where I've been at, because I've already done that, been there, done that, and and I had enough of it. So I had to change my life.
Definitely, and you've done so in such an amazing way. Kudos to you, man. This just. I'm just so moved and so touched by that you take your time and your efforts to give back to the community like that. Can you tell me, what do you find is the most challenging thing in working with people such as this that struggle with such an addiction? What do you find to be the most complex part of doing that?
I find that it's, sometimes, you're helping people and then they're sitting there and, and what they're under, I mean, doing all of it, you know what kind of drugs they're under, but and then you start thinking back. At the time you're trying to help them, and your mind starts going back and says, I remember when you were like this, and so it's kind of like a challenge because anything can happen,
Right. Oh,
and
right.
I can end up going right back there, but that's the challenge. That's the challenge is dealing with another addict or doping, head up, face to face, and
right.
To me that's a challenge. So I mean, it just, I think I'm glad it does. It is a challenge because, it's putting me. I'm ended up putting myself in check at the same time. Is just where you want to go back to. So I have to have that. I have to have that fight. That fight has to be in front of me. So if it's there in front of me, then I'm gonna have to end up making my choice. What am I? Am I going to continue to do what I'm doing? And help others, or and just I like the challenge. Because it's just keeping me strong.
Right. So now, if there's anyone out there that's listening that might be either grasping at straws to find some kind of hope, or if, they're seeking a solution and they're suffering from an addiction of some kind, what would you say to them right now? What words of inspiration could you offer to try to help them?
For the inspiration, a lot of people look at me and they just, I know he's been there, done that, but, it's just that, sometimes, I've been in big meetings, and I've talked to people that are on drugs and everything, and how'd you do it? It's not going to, I can say anything to anybody, to try to help them, but, if it's not within you, it's not going to happen. But what we can do is we can keep planting seeds in them, and let them think, and when the time is ready, it's going to end up happening, and I always tell them, I'm there for you, if you need help to get in a recovery home, you need to get taken to a meeting. If I can't take them to a meeting, I'll hook them up with somebody that can, and that person will be good.
Right.
Right. And they want to get in the recovery home. I still have all my hookups. I still get people in as of day to day. That's one contact I'm not going to lose because there's too many of us out there, and they're still looking for help. Even though I do a little part in the show. Even though I have my job, somebody comes up to me, I will not turn my back on them. I just don't have it in me.
I understand. It's amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
I was a bit surprised, and I don't know that others may or may not be, that some may not know that you actually, the infamous Lonny LaSand himself, does actually have a day job. Fortunately, in some ways, I think that day job correlates to your profession of acting, of course. For those that don't know, Pacific Traffic Control is where Lonny actually has his occupation, which provides traffic control services to filming, special event, and construction industries. I know that you've informed me that your position there carries somewhat of an element of danger to it. So maybe explain to the audience what is most dangerous about your job, and what do you love most about your job there?
To be honest with you, what I love about it is the danger.
Oh my God!
That's just being straight up and honest with you.
Sure.
We all have a little danger and excitement in our life, and this is mine.
Sure.
I've been doing this like almost 11 years now as a traffic technician, and I just love I love the danger in it. Just like when you're riding, you're hauling it, on a bike, that's dangerous, So, with this company, with the company that, this kind of work I do is just that, we're on the freeway, we're on the road, people get really upset because, here comes traffic control, they ride down the same street every day, all of a sudden the street's closed and the detours are set up, and, people get really, really mad, and because you were detouring them their regular route, so now some of them may be late for work, but they're late for work and I'm at my job, so, but I've been called every name in the book. There's names that I've been called I didn't even heard of.
Really?
Yeah, I lie not to you. It just, but it's a job, and out of a lot of people that get angry, what they do is they try to get real close to you, and they fly by you or they'll gun it, they step on the gas and take off,
Sure.
And so, that's dangerous, and especially on the freeway. You got people going 60, 70. Well, not really on the freeway. People don't go 60 or 70 no more. They go about 80, 85, 90. and they fly by you like you're not even there. And we have blinking lights going, orange cones, arrow boards up, advanced notice signs, go work ahead, crew members on freeway, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, people are still flying by you. So, I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, but it's still exciting.
Okay, I gotcha. And your wife has just gotten accustomed to that, like, oh, I might just end up in the hospital, honey, and that's okay. Or
Yeah, in the
she's just
beginning
like,
she wasn't.
okay, this is freaking me out.
Yeah, in the beginning she wasn't,
Okay.
but, they probably still not comfortable with it, but, it's working for now.
That's okay. I understand. Do you have like a personal favorite moment or one particular day or someone that, someone you met there or some specific thing that you've shut down traffic for to shoot that just holds special to you? Any little thing that you can think of?
No, to be honest with you, I love shutting down streets because I got the power.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Little old me, you would ever think that you had the power to shut down the street.
Sure.
And, it's just, I don't know, that's me, but, the detour routes are up, follow the detour routes, and, but the power of it is just like, we're in control of traffic, we stay in control of traffic, we're supposed to make sure that, everybody stays safe, so, everything is on us,
Right.
According to the way we put up our signs and, our advanced signs and everything, we have to put everything out just that way in case anything does happen, that at least we're covered by putting the right, the right signs out.
Sure. And that's
so, that's a lot of power on us because, at the time, once we get the permit, then we're supposed to make it right to keep everybody safe. Not only the filming, the construction, and events, but we have to make it safe for, for the drivers.
Right.
So that's the power that we have.
Now, from your experience in Sons of Anarchy, because I was thinking about this today, I'm like, okay, do they, as well as far as for Sons of Anarchy, have they had to utilize individuals such as yourself, meaning where they've had to shut down streets, shut down areas, that kind of stuff, to actually film anywhere? Or is it a different type animal?
Well, can you repeat that again, please?
No, that's okay, dear. I was thinking about this today relative to Sons of Anarchy, of course. Now, are they of the same vernacular and, like, they would have to recruit or hire someone such as your company who does the same thing to shoot certain scenes and that they have to shut down streets and they have to shut down areas, or is SOA different?
No, it's not any different. They do lane closures, they do street closures, and, usually, but one thing different is that they have retired officers that come in. And they got to always have retired officers. These guys are all retired. They put their dues in, and now they work for the filming industry. So they're called filming crew. And they have their bikes and the lights and everything, and they come in and they stay on the show till the show's over, till they finish filming. And to keep everything safe. Sometimes when they do running shots, they have like 4 or 5 motorcycle cops just riding around. So
gotcha. Okay. I was just curious to ask about that, so good. All right. Now, before we get on to our discussion about Sons of Anarchy, I know that one of our listeners had a question for you that they wanted to pass on to you or see if you would answer, which is they'd like to know your stance as it relates to gun control.
My stance to gun control?
Mm-hmm.
What, my relationship to it?
Meaning what meaning your stance on that. There are some people that believe that the government should, basically where you stand as it relates to the whole issue of gun control.
Well, I think everybody should own a gun.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
I mean, look where we're living at.
Right.
This world is crazy. It happens everywhere. It's not just here. It's everywhere. So I feel everybody should. I mean, even the women should be able to, learn how to shoot. I mean, there's a lot of women that do now.
Right.
Since that gun law passing them, and it's not, as you know, and all the listeners know that it's not about fist fighting anymore. It's about surviving, shots that's being fired at you. And
right.
I mean, there's got to be a time when you got to stand up. And there's just way too many guns out there. I mean, I know they're doing the best they can to keep it in control, but it's just like, for the time being, until they do to get it in control, I think everybody should own their own gun. I mean, you could either save a life, I mean, because I mean, everybody has family, you know, and you know, nobody wants to take from anybody else's family. Nobody wants to take their kids. They don't want to take their wife, or take their daughter, or I mean, the son, the husband. But, you know, if you don't have something and something happens, you know, and they end up pulling that out on you, you know, saying they're breaking in your house, you know, and you don't have a gun, and then things happen, you know, people get shot. And then you start thinking after it's over, man, I wish I had a gun. Would they have been alive? Would I have saved them? You know, I'm just saying that everybody should have a gun for their own protection and their family protection.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So hopefully our listener got the answer that he was looking for. All right, now let's talk about Sons of Anarchy, obviously. First and foremost, I know that you happen to be one of a few fellows who actually were awarded a role on Sons of Anarchy, in part due to the assistance of Emilio, of course. As you had not previously acted before, were you in any way uncomfortable or uneasy about taking such a project, meaning, you know, such a magnitude, because obviously Sons of Anarchy is a highly established show. Was there any, were you at all apprehensive about this or uncomfortable?
No, not really. I mean, it's just be myself.
Really?
I'm just being myself. You know?
Right. Okay. Because I would imagine
you're talking about because
I'm overwhelmed.
Were you saying because of cameras and all that?
Well, of course, and the fact is, you know, like sometimes, you know, when you come from a background that's not acting, like you're not one of those people that went to acting school and practiced and things like that. So here you are in a room with, you know, Ron Perlman and Dave Cali and these, you know, versed, seasoned actors who practice all this time. I guess I was just wondering if it was at all overwhelming for you, or you're thinking, oh my God, look at this. Do you know what I mean? From that standpoint.
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, it's to be around them is, you know, that's a feeling that's really, you know, hard to say because it just I like to meet them and everything. I mean, they're great people. You know, the whole show, and I'm talking about from PA to the director, producer, everybody's like family. So they make you feel like you're one of them. You know.
Sure.
And I'm talking about everybody on the show, so it makes you feel very, very comfortable around them, and it makes you feel like you're wanted, you know. And you know, and once you get that feeling, then you just, you know, you feel like you're in, you know, and then, you know, so I mean that's how I feel about it.
Gotcha. Now, had you been an established, meaning you and Emilio had been friends for quite some time prior to the show, or I was just curious about your existing relationship with him.
Oh, no, me and Emilio go back a whole lot of years.
Oh, my goodness gracious, really?
And we go back a whole lot of years, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Absolutely cool. Can you give me a fun fact about Emilio that we may not know?
No, it's not a fun fact. The way you see him, that's him. He's real.
Really?
Yeah. The way you see Emilio is the way he's off camera, too. You know?
Really? Okay, so like barely ever smiling. I guess that's the one impression I take.
No, he does
with
smile a lot, you know, off camera. But you know, he's playing his role. You know, so he's playing his role. But off camera, he's a happy-go-lucky guy.
Really?
You know? Oh yeah, he has fun just like me. You know. And, yeah, we do a lot of things together, and you know, and you know, he's been spending a lot of time with his wife and his little boy, and they've been going everywhere. So I mean, he's enjoying life.
Cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about your character on the show, of course. Now, did you fashion your character to be similar to any real-life individual, or did you kind of think to yourself before you actually put forth your character portrayal, I want it to be like so-and-so or so-and-so?
I'll be honest with you, that never even went through my mind.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not out there to try to be anybody. You know, I had an opportunity, and I said, you know, since I don't have any lines yet, I haven't got any lines yet. Since I don't have any lines, Lonny's just going to be Lonny on the show.
Okay.
And I guess I've been doing all right because they haven't told me to change anything. You know?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. So what you see is what you get. That's that real genuine article right there, which is what we were talking about earlier, of course.
Yes.
Now, set-wise, is there one particular actor on the set besides, let's say, Emilio, which you have a special camaraderie or someone you just click with or spend a lot of time with?
No, I keep everybody even. I keep everybody at level. Yeah, I keep everybody at level, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Now, I wanted to look a little bit as far as Sons of Anarchy, as far as how they portray the actual biker lifestyle and bikers in general. as it relates to that versus real life? Is there any distinction between the two, or do you think it's a fair estimate to say that what you're seeing on camera pretty much is what happens in the real life scenario?
No, the characters that they're all playing, they're playing them to the heart, and they're playing them really good.
Okay.
Offset, they're no different than Emilio. I mean, they're fun. They're fun to be around, and they're just like just like anybody else. I mean, their names came up a lot now and come up, and the whole, all the actors on the show, actresses, they've come up a lot, and I have not noticed any change in them. I mean, sometimes people, they end up moving up and, get a lot of fame and everything, and sometimes their attitudes change and everything. And for Sons of Anarchy, not one actor or actress, their attitude has changed. At least since I've been on it for the 5 years. They're all still all the same. Yeah, they're just, they're people.
Okay. And would you call or would you consider, because obviously, of course, Kurt Sutter is the multi-talent here because he's not just the actor portion, as we all know. Would you say the same holds true for him, meaning for the course of the 5 years, it's just he's just stayed consistent and the same as it relates to all roles and facets?
No, that guy's bad. That guy is bad. I mean,
really?
For him to have a mind like him to think of, writing all this, and then to actually put it on scene and everything. I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulder, And I've told him before. I told him a few times, and it's amazing the way he comes out with some of the writing, some of the stories,
Right.
He's a great guy. Him and Katie, they're great.
Okay.
They're a team. You notice they're a team.
Oh God, yeah. They're lovely together. I mean, they just look like they fit well together. Even if you don't know them, and you're looking at them from a distance,
Yeah.
She's definitely a pill, I got to tell you. They're just, like I said, they're genuine, absolutely lovely people from what I can see. One of the things that was brought to my attention, which I wanted to ask you about, relative to SOA, of course, I have, been to different places and talked to different individuals in the biker world. Now, there are some out there that say, we absolutely love this show. Our die-hard fans can't get enough of it. Then there's the flip side of the fence, which is to say, this is Hollywood bullshit, da-da-da-da-da. I'm curious where you stand on which side of the fence. I mean, obviously you've been on the show, so my guess is obviously you are a fan yourself. I'm going to go on a limb to say, are you a fan? I mean, do you admire what he is doing with the show, or are you thinking it's more kind of, it is true, but yet a Hollywood touch to it? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, there's a Hollywood touch to it. There's a Hollywood touch to every show.
Sure.
That's just the way it is. It's just, but this is, this is somewhat more, little more reality than you really ever seen on any kind of biker movie.
Right.
So it's somewhat reality.
Okay.
But everybody's playing the part so good that it's making it look like it is reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. No, I agree with you. I definitely agree, and it's relatable. I mean, I've heard people tell me they have laughed, they have cried, they've been in shock. They can relate to some of the things, even if you're not a biker. Just the storylines, the way that he projects a story is so powerful that you just get kind of sucked in, and we just kind of that kind of stuff. Now, I asked this the other day, so I got to ask you this because obviously you're on the show, and I'm just curious. Would you call yourself Team Gemma, or would you call yourself Team Tara?
Say that again, please.
Are you a fan, meaning like the last act that we had on the show last week, we were talking about this, and I said, if I were to ask you, are you Team Gemma or Team Tara? Meaning like which side of the fence are you on this? Because, the last season ended, of course, with Gemma having Tara getting arrested, and so I'm like, okay, some people love Gemma, some people love Tara. I'm just curious as to your take on either or.
Oh, no. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I have a double and I love them both.
That's not fair. That's not an answer.
Okay, I would stand on one on each side.
I knew you were going to say something like that, too.
Yeah.
It's just curious to get public opinion.
They're both good. They're both doing a really good job.
Oh, of course, definitely. Now, as it relates to this next season, because obviously I'm not going to ask you the inevitable question, which is will you be back, because I'm assuming that you and I both can say that, nobody ever knows, obviously. I mean, I want to believe that all fibers of my being are saying that we're going to see Lonny again and again and again, as long as the season goes along, obviously. curious to ask you, if in a perfect world, if Kurt Sutter walked up to you tomorrow and said, hey, Lonny, where would you like to see your character go on the show? I'm curious what your answer would be. Where would you like to see your character go, or what would you like to see happen?
I just tell him, as acting, wherever you want it to go, I'm here.
So you don't have a preference?
No, I do not, no. I mean, come on now. Would I have a preference if I'm barely starting?
Right.
A door opens, you just go through it. You deal with it as you're going through it.
Okay, gotcha. As long as you're not dead, because obviously we don't want them shooting you or having you
then,
buried alive or something. We can't have that. No Opie thing happening. No, that's not happening for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask, are you part of some of the special events as is relative to Sons of Anarchy? Because I know some of the other minds, of course, Emilio, et cetera, are all out there and about meeting people. Do you do those things on occasion? Are there ways where people can meet you?
Yes, I do. I end up going to some of the events at times, when I do have a chance. But, I still have my job, my regular job.
Okay.
And
sure.
And I let my boss know if I really, really want to go. I just let him know, and he goes, you know what, go. We'll get somebody else to do your jobs. And I love the events. I love going to the events. So I just pop up whenever I can.
Sure. And I'm excited to announce, of course, that your wife was the one who told me. She's like, oh, my goodness, we go to these different places. You go to New Mexico, you go here, you go there, and people easily recognize you, which I think is so awesome. It's like you're walking down the street, and she's like, yeah, people know who he is. That says something. You have a distinctive character on the show where people actually are cognizant of who you are, and that must be a great feeling for you.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, no, folks. Guess what, folks? That means that Lonny got disconnected again. So hopefully, with any luck at all, he'll be joining us back shortly again, because this has now happened for a second time. Just for those of you who are listening, obviously, if you by chance happen to have an inclination to want to call in and ask him a question, we do have about another 10 minutes of the show left over, so you can certainly call in once we get him back on the air, that is. To be able to get a chance to ask him questions, obviously, because, we've got a few more things that we want to cover here. I'm finding that this has been far more of an insightful interview. I've already been excited about the chance to talk to him, but I'm finding him to be such a grounded individual, such a terrific man with a terrific heart that, donates so much of his time and efforts to helping other individuals, which I always find to be highly commendable. Not to mention the fact he's just so very giving of his time as it relates to this interview, just being cooperative as it relates to talking to individuals who are his fans or supporters. Very laid back as it relates to his future endeavors. In acting, I can tell you that we were discussing this, and we'll be talking about this as it relates to future acting roles and such. He has a little diverse attitude as it relates to where he wants his career and his future to go. He's very content with his lifestyle the way it is, meaning the Sons of Anarchy side of things, and of course working through Pacific, as he's mentioned already. So I think he's a very grounded, very well established with exactly where he wants to be in his life, which I think is awesome. Let me see if we can get him back here again.
Hello.
Hey, Lonny.
Oh, sorry about that again.
I lost you again. I keep thinking just when I have him sucked in, he's just going to cut me off again. So I'm like, whoo.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
We only got 10 more minutes left. So.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry for all the listeners, too. Really sorry.
That's, what, these things happen. You know what, on radio, sometimes you have to get used to technical difficulties, whether it's on my end or your end. So that's why I'm just trying to make it look really good in the time that we have until you get cut off again. No, I'm kidding. There's only 10 more minutes left, so I don't think you'll be cut off. So as it relates to the events like we were talking about, so basically if individuals want to find you, let's say like beyond this interview, and they say, all right, if they haven't been friends with you on Facebook or if they visit do you have a fan page for people?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, so it's just you yourself as far as your personal page. So let's say people, a month from now they're in California and they say, you know what, I'd like to go meet that guy in person or shake his hand or just, get to know this person. Are there going to be occasions in time where we'll be informed as to how to meet you or how to find you?
Yes, probably this year I'm going to get with Emilio and discuss things with him, okay. And, at some of the events. So it'll be, it'll be up, like mostly on Facebook and ahead of time to let everyone know.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, as it relates, my last question as far as Sons of Anarchy goes, because I typically try to ask this, and this is more so for our listening audience, of course, since we're not privy to the same site that you are. If looking back in your career SOA-wise, one significant memory from the set or from being on the show that you hold dear? Meaning something that you just look back and think, I loved this moment. Is there one for you?
Well, for me, the moment is every time I'm on. I just love the moments. I mean, I can't pick out any because I've never really done this before.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're all good, you know.
Okay.
I just live for the moment.
I gotcha. I get it. Now, I had another listener question, and this is a funny one. So the reason I'm bringing it up is just because it's so funny. And, of course, you're not going to have an answer to it, but I thought, we've had this discussion. This is the one Charlie question we talked about off air. Remember I said I'm going to ask one Charlie question. This is a viewer question. Her exact question was posed as, oh, my gosh, how did Charlie Hunnam get so cute? Well, obviously, you don't know the answer to that, neither do I.
Yes,
so
I do.
guess I'll just ask oh, do you? How did he get so cute?
Right in the heart, right in the baby Harley. Right in the Harley.
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
It's those genes, let me tell you. It's that accent, and then it's those genes, and then it's just that. He's, and I know you've said this, others have said it, hands down, every person on this show has ever come on here has just said he was nothing but a class act from top to bottom, not only in looks, but in perception and profession and just mannerisms. He's a class act, which is awesome. Yes.
Yes, he is,
but I'm lucky. I don't have Charlie Hunnam right now. I have Lonny LaSand, so I'm pretty content. We don't need Charlie right now. Eventually, yes. But I'm happy I got what I got, so I'm not going to bitch about that one. Thank you very much.
Cool. That's cool.
So there we go. All right, now, I'd like you to speak to the audience about this because we had a discussion about it regarding your stance on acting roles for the future. Who do you personally feel, first of all, from an actor perspective, if I was sitting at home with Lonnie, he's watching a good movie or whatever, what are you drawn to? What do you enjoy watching? Is it the biker stuff or would we be surprised to see what you watch on television?
No, you probably will be surprised. I love watching Westerns.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah, I love all the old school Westerns. I watch them like almost every night, every day whenever I get a chance. But I mean, I'm right there in front of the TV, just like all the other viewers when it comes to SOA on the show. For the show, because I only know what goes on when I'm there. I don't know what goes on when I don't know what goes on when I'm upset. I don't know. So when it comes on, I'm sitting right there waiting for it to come on, just like everybody else.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So I got to ask the question then. So you watched it when we watched it. Anything surprise you or startle you? Meaning Opie or any of the significant things that happened where you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, well, when Opie, when they took out Opie, that was kind of like, that was a surprise to me, too.
Really?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. My goodness gracious, look at that. And my other question, of course, which I haven't asked any other actor yet, so this is a virgin question as it relates to the show, Harold's performance. I guess I don't know if you were familiar with him at all, have seen his acting, got a chance to work with him on the set at all, which is obviously Damon Pope's character this year. I was highly impressed with he's a badass, and he's a little guy, but I'm like, oh, my God, did he personify a great badass, right? I'm like, oh, my God, look at the stuff he pulled this season. What do you think of his performance? Just curious to ask, as a fellow actor.
Oh, he's a real good performer. You know what? He's I remember we used to always watch him on that. What was that show in jail when he was in jail? I forgot the name of that show that he was in jail with. It used to come on all the time. I can't remember offhand the name of it, but he's been.
Is that an HBO show?
Yes, it was back then.
The Wire, maybe?
No, not The Wire.
Okay. Oz?
Yeah. Oz, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, I am right. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he was great in that, and he's a real good actor. He's a real good actor. I mean, he played the part really good on that.
Sure. I gotcha. I would have to agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, as I started off by saying, obviously your stance as far as with acting roles for the future. I mean, we all want to hope, of course, that you're going to be on Sons of Anarchy this year, next year, forever, forever, period. So let's say Sons of Anarchy, the role in the ride finishes for you. At that point, are you hanging up your hat, or are you thinking, you know what, I still got it in me to go out and rehearse and to go out and audition, or what do you think it will ultimately end up being?
Well, you know what, it's really hard to say because, I mean, the way I live is, if it's gone, it's gone, and I might want to get into, because I'm getting older, so I might want to get into a little, acting, I'm already in the union, so I might want to get into, acting, get an agent and everything, but the reason why I don't do it now is because I end up, what I have is, my job, and it'll affect my job a lot more than
right.
I mean, they're giving me a break by, Sons of Anarchy, because we're there for you, Lonny, we love the show. You let us know, you can go. No, we will never stop you from that. But,
okay.
But you see, at least I'm here. I'm established with my job here.
Mm-hmm.
Get an agent, and then I'm gonna have to really wait for a show to commercial or show to pop up, and then end up pulling me out, and okay, we're gonna need you for this, need you for that. Here, I know I have a job. I know I have financially, I have money coming in. As long as I get myself up and go to work every day, I'm good.
Right.
I can't sit around and twiddling my fingers and ring phone.
Right.
So I'm it's hard to say.
Okay. Got it. So we'll just have to keep our eyes and ears open and just kind of wait to see. Well, first of all, wait to see about Sons of Anarchy, obviously, and then beyond that, we just keep thinking you're going to keep coming back, and your character is going to get higher and higher and bigger, because of course we all want to see every cast member on there just have a bigger role and have more participation, and not that your presence is missed, because clearly you're not a presence that could be missed on stage, whether you're saying something or not. I'm of the firm belief that body actions and movements and how you act isn't just what you say. It's a combination of factors, which you do very well at. Now, before I give you my 30-second synopsis of you, I wanted to pass along a message from Mr. Sam Crow himself. He wanted me to let you know that we appreciate your time, and we thank you for everything that you and the rest of the Minds have done for giving back to the community and charity-wise. To send you all of his love, to you, to your family, and to the Mayans from both himself as well as from the Crow Eaters Club. I wanted to pass that along to you so that you know that we appreciate you collectively as a whole, and you need to know that, I think.
Oh, thank you. You tell him that.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah, appreciate
I will. Well, he's listening, so he can hear you himself, as a matter of fact. So that's
okay.
Cool.
I hear you, Sam.
Now, what's customary at the end of every show that I do is to do two things. First of all, which is to give you my 30-second impression of what I really think of you. But before I do that, just to let people know, I know that you have your Facebook page on there, which is Lonny LaSand, of course. Do you have any other social medium, Twitter or otherwise, or any other means to reach you or get a hold of you?
No, I do not.
Okay. Just wanted to double check and make sure that I wasn't forgetting anything, because some people do, obviously. So we want to make sure we don't forget. So let me give you my 30-second synopsis of what I think of Lonny LaSand before I let you get back to your job, because I know that we're kind of pulling you away, and I don't want to do that for too much longer. So to put you in a nutshell in my 30 seconds, like I said, very graciously, your beautiful and lovely wife was very, very kind in giving me information about you prior to this interview, which really helped me to formulate the character that you are. So this is what I can say, and what I started to say, which is, as an actor, I think you personify a larger-than-life image the minute you walk onto the screen. You don't stand behind Emilio, you stand with him. And you do it in such a way that I think is just magnetic. I think the chemistry works very well. I think you speak for yourself on screen very well. As a person, from a personal standpoint, what I do know of you and the few times I've had to talk to you, you're very polite. You are very, very kind and very good-natured. You're very soft-spoken, which is very surprising for such a big guy. And if your wife resonates all these things, the few things that I can take away from this is that you're a wonderful person to know, and not just one time, but many times. I think you're truly good in heart. I think you're accomplished in your own right. I love the fact that you are who you are, and that's all there is to it, very down to earth, really grounded. You are wonderful in my book, and I am so privileged to just say that I know you, or I even got a chance to talk to you. And I really, really hope that you'll consider coming back to us again.
Oh, sure, I will, yes. No,
Yay!
and I want to thank, thank all the listeners and you and Sam Crow for
thank you.
Making this happen.
Sure, definitely, anytime. We'd love to see you come back.
So, yeah, made me feel a little more important.
Yeah, well, we just like to have you back, just because of the fact that we like to check in, see how things are going, try to let you know that we haven't forgotten about you and that we appreciate all the efforts that you bring to the show, because Sons of Anarchy isn't just one person, it's a collective team of everybody. So without you and everyone else, it wouldn't be what it is right now. So really, thank you for giving us entertainment on a weekly basis. We appreciate all your efforts.
Okay, you're welcome, sure.
All right, sweetheart. Well, I will let you go because in this way the phone will get unplugged again. And you can go back to taking care of having the control of the city, so to speak.
Okay, then you got it. Okay, thank you for your time, and thank you, and same to you, Sam Crow.
All right, dear. You take care. We'll be in touch.
Okay, you guys be safe out there.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right, folks. That was the infamous Lonny LaSand. What'd you think of that one? Oh, I hope I did okay. I really do. I think we had an insightful interview. I think that I am surprised to see that he is another gentle giant, saying along the lines of Ted Alva and all my big guys here. I got to say, once again, thank you so much to Lonny LaSand for taking his time and his efforts and being ever so gracious. Thank you so much to his lady love, Norma. Thank you if you're listening. I appreciate all the help and all the hard work and efforts you put into getting in contact with me. As always, to our fearless leader, Sam Crow. I don't know what else I can say. I always say how wonderful he is. So I'm just going to say thank you, brother, for your existence. Thank you so much for putting together Sam Crow Radio. And thank you for just being you. I appreciate that. Before I forget and let you go, I wanted to announce about next week's interview, but honestly, I don't think we have one as of yet, or at least not one that I can remember off the top of my head. So forgive me. This evening, I will go back and check my schedule, and hopefully if we have something penciled in, I will be sure to go ahead and post it up on Sam Crow Radio, along with my regular page, which is, of course, Cindy, last name M-I-C-H, of course. I don't want to forget to give a very, very large shout-out to Harley D for keeping all of us up to date on all things relative to the Mayans on both Facebook and to Twitter. So thank you so much to Harley D for all of that, and of course I will be in contact with her in the near future because as I understand it, word on the street is she's going to be co-hosting one of our upcoming shows with me, which will be very exciting and interesting. One last bit of note, as I always like to do on my show, I just want to make sure to send a special request that you guys just send some good thoughts and good prayers to a good friend of mine. She's having some troubles right now, and I would appreciate your love and your support as it relates to that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for taking the time to get the word out about Sam Crow Radio. I appreciate all of you, and I love all of you, and I thank you so much for listening. And we'll be talking again next week, whether it be on Facebook or here on Sam Crow Radio. So you all take care and have a wonderful evening.
Ready? Okay. We got paper, yes we do. White roll notebooks, pencils, glue. We got crayons, every hue. School supplies for your whole crew. Target's got everything you need to ready, set, go back to school.